Earlier we had seen, or we have told or talked about, that the language Perl is very important in the context of developing interactive web pages on the internet. So, in the next few lectures we will be looking at the various features and syntax and semantics of Perl language, with particular emphasis on how we can use this language to develop interactive web pages, to develop CGI scripts and the like. So, we start with some basic background about the language Perl. The Perl, the full form of this acronym is Practical Report and Extraction Language. Now, Perl is an interpreted language. Now, interpreted language means that you do not have to compile a Perl program into machine code and then execute it. There are two ways you can run a program. The conventional way, you write a program in C, compile it into object code or machine code, then execute that machine code. The second way is that the way languages like Java or Perl works or operates. That means, you write the program in some language. Well, of course, in Java we have to compile, in Perl we need not have to compile it at all. The program remains in the Perl source code form. There is an interpreter program, Perl interpreter, which takes the source program directly and executes the Perl code. Okay. This is how an interpreter works. It takes the source code directly and statement by statement it tries to interpret and execute. Okay. And Perl is a language which has been optimized for scanning text files, extracting information from them and printing reports, which are the main requirements or needs for web based applications. In particular, you will see that Perl has very powerful string handling features. String handling means string comparison, string replacement and a number of other related features, and this is available on all platforms. You can have Perl installed on your machine without any problem. Now, the main advantages of Perl are several. First is of course speed of development. Since Perl is interpretive, you need not have to compile a program every time you make some modifications. You can simply type or enter the program and simply run it through the interpreter. There is no additional overhead required for compilation. As I said, it is very powerful for some particular application domains. There is something called regular expressions in Perl, which you shall see later. This is an extremely powerful feature, and this lends the main advantage of Perl with regards to the string handling capability. It uses sophisticated pattern matching techniques to scan large amount of data very quickly. Perl is portable. It is a standard language. All implementations are based on the standard. It is available on all platforms, Windows, Unix, Linux, Macintosh, everywhere. And the second most important thing is that this is a language which you need not have to purchase. It is available for free on the internet. You can download the Perl interpreter on a machine and you can start using or writing the Perl programs. For creating Perl programs, you do not need any specialized editor, you do not need any sophisticated editor. You can use any simple text editor like Notepad in Windows or VI under Unix or Linux to create Perl programs. Flexibility is another thing. The way Perl is defined, Perl does not limit the size of the data, which means I am giving an example. In Perl you can define a string. Now, a string can be one word, it can be one line. The entire content of a file can also be regarded as a string and it can be stored in a string variable. Okay. Perl does not impose any limit to the maximum size. So, means you may be having a 50 megabyte long file, that entire file content you can assign to a single string variable. As long as you have sufficient memory available, virtual memory is sufficient, Perl will not create any problem for you. Okay. This is what I have said, and this, because of this flexibility, you can write some programs to perform very complex tasks without worrying about memory availability and other problems. Now, the next question is how to run Perl. As I said, Perl can be downloaded from the internet. There are a number of such websites available, and versions are available to run on almost all platforms. Now, the examples that we have shown here, that means we will show the inherent assumptions are, well, if you are trying to run Perl under the Windows operating system, then I am assuming that you are running them from the command prompt. Command prompt comes whenever you go to the start button on the left bottom, you select run, and then you enter CMD or command depending on Windows version, and a command prompt window comes. You type the commands directly on that window. So, here all the examples that I have shown, we have assumed that you are typing the commands directly on the command window. And if you are doing it on a Unix or Linux system, then the commands you are typing directly from the shell prompt. So, we have made this assumption because for both the cases the appearance would be very similar. You have a Windows where you are directly typing the commands and you are getting back the results. This is unlike the most other Windows application where you have very fancy menus and buttons, you click on the menus using mouse, select something. No, here we are not assuming those. Here we will be creating the files using text editors, you will be giving commands on the so called command prompt line, and you will be getting the result from there directly. Okay. Let us take a small example and see how we can go through this example and run it, execute it. These are the recommended steps, because some of the steps are optional, but it is always a good practice to do this. For example, the first step, it is always good to create a separate directory or folder where you will be storing the Perl files. Otherwise your Perl files will get mixed up with your other different kinds of files. So, it is always good to have a separate folder where in which all the Perl files will be stored. Now, using any text editor, you create a file, for example, give the name as test.pl, which will contain these two lines: print within double quotes something, print within double quotes something. Now, if you look at these two lines, I think this is absolutely self explanatory. First one prints a character string, and the /n, like in C, this means a new line character. So, good day will be printed, then on the next line, this is my first Perl program will be printed, then on the next line the prompt will again be printed. Okay. Now, this program can be typed, it can be saved in a file test.pl, and you can execute the program directly by typing this particular command on the command prompt, Perl test.pl. Perl is the name of the Perl interpreter. When you give the Perl command, the Perl interpreter will start running. Test.pl is the input program to the Perl interpreter. Perl interpreter will be reading the commands from there, it will be executing it directly. So, executing Perl programs is as simple as this. Well, if you are working on Unix or Linux, you need one additional line at the beginning. This tells you in which directory the Perl interpreter is stored. So, as you can see, the syntax for specifying this is hash, the exclamation sign, then the path name. Say for example, here I have given usr bin Perl. This is the complete path name for the Perl interpreter. So, in Unix or Linux, you normally require this. so that when you execute this kind of program, you need not invoke the Perl interpreter directly. You can directly run this program, and the first line of the program will tell you which program to call. It will be called automatically, and that program will be taking the other commands and executing them. This is exactly the same as executing a shell script from a Unix command prompt, because in a shell script you typically give something like user bin sh, where sh is the name of the shell interpreter. Now, here instead of sh you are giving Perl. Okay. So, using this you can execute the programs. Now, let us come to the details of this language, some of the constructs. We start with the concept of variables in Perl. Now, in Perl broadly there are three kinds of variables: scalar, array and hash. The second two we would be looking at later. For the time being we will look at something called scalar variables. Scalar variables, as the name implies, it can hold a single value. Okay. So, as I said, array and hash or associative, these will be considered later. The way of defining a variable is that a dollar sign before the name indicates that this is a variable. For example, $xyz is a variable. It is a scalar variable. Dollar indicates it is scalar. So, if you give $xyz equal to 20, it means you are assigning the value 20 to the scalar variable $xyz. Some more examples: $a equal to 10, $name equal to, within double quotes, this is a string, Indranil Sengupta, $average equal to 28.37. Now, you can see from these examples, or you may also wonder, and it is in fact true, that in Perl variables do not have any fixed types. There is nothing like this variable is integer variable, this is character, this is floating point. Well, when you store something in a variable, everything is stored as a string. When you process them, as the need requires, it can be treated as a number. If you are using the variable in an arithmetic expression, then the content of a variable is treated as a number, or otherwise it will be treated as a string. So, the context in which you are using the variable will determine its type, how it is interpreted. Explicitly, the user is not specifying which variable is holding which type of data. Variables can be printed like this. We will talk about this in detail later. Print within double quote, my name is $name, the average temperature is $average, there will be a closing quote here. Okay. So, just like PHP, I took the same example. If this $name appears within double quote, it will be replaced by its value. Similarly, here. So, exactly what will be printed is, my name is Indranil Sengupta, the average temperature is 28.37. This is what will be printed. Okay. Fine. This is what we have mentioned. Perl does not specify the type of variables. That is why it is sometimes called a loosely typed language, to distinguish it from languages which are so called strongly typed. Strongly typed means they have very strong type declaration syntax or rules. In Java or C, each and every variable must be assigned or defined with a type, and it must abide by that time at all time, that particular type at all points in time. You cannot change the type of a variable in between, okay? But in Perl you can in general. Variable interpolation, I had just shown it with an example earlier, a couple of slides back, but let us look at it more formally. This is a very powerful feature in Perl. This says that variable names, wherever you use them, they will be automatically replaced by their corresponding values whenever they appear in double quoted strings. This means if you have a string enclosed in double quotes and within this string a variable appears, then that variable will be replaced by the contents of that variable whenever that string is processed. You may be printing that string, you may be doing something else with the string also. Okay. That means you may be counting the number of characters in the string, for example. So, the value will be replaced and then the processing on the string will start. Now, a very small example. The first line here is assigns a string Rupok to a variable $stood. Second line assigns a number 75 to a variable $marks. There are two print statements which are very similar. It says marks obtained by $stood is $marks with a new line reverse slash n. The only difference is the first print statement uses double quotes, while the second print statement uses single quotes. This is the only difference. But in terms of the semantics or the meaning, this single quote and double quote really makes some difference here. Here we are talking about variable interpolation, where a variable is replaced by its value. This interpolation occurs only when you are using double quotes. Like for the previous example, the first print statement will give an output marks obtained by Rupok is 75, but the second one will give an output marks obtained by $stood is $marks, which means the replacement of variables by their values have not taken place. They are taken, the names of the variables are regarded as strings. Let us just go back to the program once more. You see marks obtained by $stood is $marks. In the first one $stood is replaced by Rupok, this is replaced by 75, but in the second one it has not. So, in a string, if we need to do variable interpolation, we use double quotes, otherwise use single quotes. But if it is a simple string without any embedded variable, then single or double quote does not make any difference, we can use either of them. Okay. Fine. This is a particular example where the string contains the currency symbol $100. Now, here we have to use the single quote, because if you use double quote $100 like this, then the Perl interpreter will be misled. Perl interpreter will regard $100 as the name of a variable and will try to replace the value of the variable, which is not true. Since this is not a variable at all, it is always safe to enclose it within single quote and not confuse the Perl interpreter. And when you are printing the content, the expenditure is $expense within double quotes. So, actually what will be printed is the expenditure is $100, because $100 is the contents of this variable. Okay. So, this actually tells you when you want to use, or means when you need to use double quote and when you need to use single quote. Now, let us now look at how expressions can be written down using scalar variables. Well, syntax is very similar to C. So, I am not spending much time on this, I am just giving a few examples to illustrate what all things you can do. $ABC is a variable, $ABC equal to 10. You have auto increment and auto decrement, $ABC plus plus, $total minus minus. Here exponentiation is indicated by double star. $B star star 10 means this variable raised to the power of 10. this gets assigned to $a. Percentage means modulus. $b percentage 10 means you divide b by 10 and remainder whatever is coming, that is assigned to A, that is the modulus. Balance equal to balance plus deposit, or you can also write in the conventional C short form, balance plus equal to deposit. So, almost all the things which you can do in C, you can do in Perl as well, the syntax is almost same. Talking about strings, there are a few additional operations you can do on strings which are very convenient. Like let us take an example. Say there are 3 strings we have defined: good, blank day and new line reverse slash n. These are the 3 strings. We can carry out string concatenation using the dot operator. You can write $total equal to $a dot $b dot $c. So, the 3 strings will get concatenated and we will get a single string good day with a new line which is assigned to total. Well, you look at this statement, this says $a dot equal to this, dot equal to means dollar, this is the short form, $a equal to $a dot day slash n. This also creates the same string, $a contain good, good is concatenated with day new line. So, good day new line is assigned to the same variable $a, this is doing this. So, we sometimes do arithmetic operations on string, but of course, very rarely, but Perl supports it. Let us see what it means in terms of the semantics. Say there is a string $a which you have assigned a value bat to it. Then you give a statement $b equal to $a plus 1. $a plus 1 is an arithmetic addition you want to do. That means you are asking to add 1 to a string. Now means actually what will happen here is that this value of 1 will be added to the ASCII equivalent of the number represented by a string. So, actually if you add this 1, this well BAT will become not really cat will be done if you add to the first one, it will actually become BAU, the last one. To make it BAT, you will have to compute the corresponding number that you have to add to make an addition here, because ultimately BAT will get stored as 3 ASCII characters. Okay. So, to make bat into cat, you have to add 1 to the first nibble and 0 0 here. So, it will be 1 and 0 0. So, accordingly you have to find out the number to be added, so that the first byte gets incremented. So, these operations are based on ASCII code, but usually we do not use this, because this kind of arithmetic operations on strings are not very meaningful, and it also sometimes misleads the designer or the reader of the program. So, it is not a good practice to use this anyway. There is another interesting string operator, this is called the string repetition operator X. Well, you can repeat a string by a number of time following X. Like you take this example, $a equal to $b x 3. X 3 means $b, whatever is the content of this, will be repeated 3 times. This will concatenate 3 copies of B and assign it to A. Take this specific example, print within double quote BA, then concatenation, then NA repeated twice. So, actually it will be printing the string ban, of course, this B will be capital, it will be printing this string banana, this NA will be appearing twice. Okay. So, in many cases we may need to do this kind of string repetition, we can use this X operator for the purpose. Now, string sometimes can be represented or evaluated as a number also in terms of an arithmetic expression. Now, if it is a full fledged arithmetic expression other than simple increment or decrement, the question arises, if it is a string, how do we evaluate the value? There are some very well defined rules. Before using it in a full fledged arithmetic expression, Perl converts the string to a number. When converting it to a number, Perl will take at the beginning, if there are any spaces, it will consider that. If there is an optional minus sign at the beginning, it will also consider that, and as many digits it can find with a possible decimal point at the beginning, but after that it will ignore everything else. For example, if it is 23.54, it will take the whole thing 23.54 as the number. If it is 123 hello 25, then it will scan from the left, it will get 123, and after that there is some non-numeric character. So, it will stop here, it will take the value as 123. If it is banana, there is no numeric character, so the value will be taken as 0. Okay. So, these are the results, or these are the rules using which a string, if used in an arithmetic expression, can be converted into a number. Now, sometimes when you are defining strings, we need to have escape sequences, because sometimes the special characters in Perl, there are a number of escape characters, there are number of special characters, sorry. So, dollar, ampersand, hash, reverse slash is also there. There are many such special characters which are there in Perl. So, if we want such special characters to come as part of a string, then we need to use an escape sequence. Now, in Perl, the reverse slash character is used as the escape sequence. Like you take this example, first one, dollar $num equal to 20, print value of reverse slash dollar $num is dollar $num. You see, you have double quotes. So, you need variable interpolation, but what you require in the output is, the output you want that it should come as value of dollar $num is 20. So, in one case you are replacing it by its value, in the other case you are not. So, when you do not want to replace it or do not want that dollar be treated as a special character, precede it by a slash. Okay. So, this is treated as a normal dollar as part of the string, and it will be printed as value of dollar $num is num. And suppose you want to print a path, the path say is like this, C colon slash Perl slash. Slash is a special character again. So, in a string, if you want to write this string, then this reverse slash has to be escaped by preceding with the escape character reverse slash. So, there will be double reverse slash at the end, again double reverse slash. Okay. So, in a string, whenever you use some special character which you want to be treated as an ordinary character, it is better to use, or means you must use an extra reverse slash at the beginning. Okay. Fine. Now, there is something interesting here, there is something called line oriented quoting, which simplifies writing something in Perl sometimes. We will see an example here. Here actually what we are talking about is, we are talking about specification of a string. Normally in Perl, when you specify a string, we specify it by enclosing it with either double quotes or single quotes. Now, if it is a very long string, then enclosing it in a quotes like this, it becomes little inconvenient. Long string means a string which is spanning 10, 100, 1000 lines, very big string. So, there is a mechanism which is called line oriented coding. This uses the marker double less than. Double less than, the way it is used is like this. You give a print command, suppose I want to print a very long string. You give a print command, give this double slash, follow it up with a string. Say here I have chosen a string called terminator, some word. After this I can write down the lines comprising my string one by one. Finally, whenever this particular string terminator appears again, this string is treated as being finished. So, the same thing I could have written as print within quote hello how are you, print within quote good day with a reverse slash n at the end. So, if there are 100 lines I would have written the word print 100 times, but using this double less than mechanism, using this kind of line oriented coding, we can give the print only once, followed by the string itself without any quotes or anything, with a delimiting marker at the end. This is a very convenient way of specifying a string. I am giving an example in the particular context of designing CGI scripts. Look at this small Perl program snippet. Perl is trying to output some very small HTML document. You see, print within double quotes HTML new line, print head title test page, end title end end new line, print body new line, print H2, this is a test document H2 new line, print body HTML new line. Okay. This you can understand what it is doing. Perl is generating as output a very small HTML document. Now, here we have to write so many print statements, we have to write so many quotes, at the end of each line we have to write a new line slash n semicolon, so on. So, you look at the alternate version of this same specification, which uses the double less than construct. Print double less than some marker EOM we choose here, EOM is somewhere here. Between that I have straight away written the HTML page as if it is a normal text without any quotes anything. This entire thing will be treated as a string and it will be printed. So, as you can see, in the context of writing CGI scripts, this kind of a thing will occur quite frequently. We will be having a lot of lines to get printed verbatim, and if we have a mechanism like this, your program looks much more neater, and means you also need to type a lot less, and the chances of errors are also less. Those double quotes, semicolons, you may be missing something in between. Okay, fine. Now, let us talk about something called lists and arrays in Perl. Now, we have so far talked about scalar variables, where a variable can hold a single value. Now, that single value can be a number, that single value can be a string, it can be anything. But lists and arrays, we shall see, it is some sort of a collection of scalars. A number of such scalar quantities, if you combine together, you can call it a list or an array variable. Let us try to understand the basic difference between a list and an array. List is an ordered list of scalars. Suppose if you have a list of some scalar variables, say 1, 2, 3, 4, this is a list. Array is a variable that holds a list. Just try to understand the difference. List is the contents, certain numbers arranged in an ordered fashion. Ordered fashion means I can say this is the first element, this is the second element, this is the third element. Certain items arranged in an ordered fashion, that is a list, and a list can be stored as a variable, as a special variable called an array variable. Okay. So, array represents a variable which can store or hold a list, and a list is an ordered collection of scalars. So, as I said, each element of an array is a scalar. Now, like C, the index of an array starts with 0, and an array in the, you can say, in the lowest case can have 0 elements. This is the smallest array or an empty array. In the maximal case, there is no specific limit that Perl imposes. You can have an array with 1,000,000 entries, you can have an array with 1,000,000,000 entries. You can go on doing this as long as the virtual memory of your machine supports it. Okay. Perl does not impose any restriction on this. So, the size of the array, lower limit is 0, upper limit there is nothing which Perl imposes. Okay. Fine. Here are some examples. Some examples of list literals or constants. First one defines a list with 4 elements 10, 20, 50, 100. Second one, 3 strings red, blue, green. So, as you can see, since these are simple strings, it does not matter whether I include them within single quote or within double quote, it does not matter. Now, a list can contain any mixture of strings and numbers. This is a list with 5 elements. There are some other notations. This one, this is also a list, where the first element of the list is the content of the scalar variable $a. The second element of the list is 12. Here, this is an empty list. If we give the 2 brackets without anything in between, just like this represents an empty list. Well, we can use the dot dot operator as a list constructor. 10 dot dot 20 actually means 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 up to 20. So, instead of writing all these numbers separated by commas, I can straight away write 10 dot dot 20. This will mean that there are 11 elements in the array, okay, in the list. Similarly, I can do the same for the characters. A dot dot z means all the characters from A to Z, all right, all 26 letters. So, if you have this kind of regular values that you want to assign to the elements of a list, you can use this kind of constructor operators using the dot dot operation. Now, this is how we can define a list. Now, let us come to array variables. We had said that an array variable can hold a list. Now, Perl uses a special character to uniquely identify an array. So, any variable which starts with the @ symbol is regarded as an array variable. This @ months, this denotes an array. This array can have many elements. Now, the individual elements of the array, they will obviously be scalars, okay, because the array is a list. When I talk about the first element, second element, third element of the array, they are individually scalars, they are not arrays. Okay. So, when we talk about the individual elements of the arrays, well, the way we refer the indices is very similar to C. Within square bracket the index number, and the index number starts with 0, just like C. But the point to note is that when I want to refer to the first element of the array, I start it with a $, because although this means @ months is an array, $months 0 is a scalar. because when you are talking about the first element, it is a scalar, and in Perl any scalar value or any reference to a scalar quantity must precede with a dollar. So, even if it denotes one element of the array, it has to precede with a dollar to indicate that this is a scalar quantity. Okay. So, okay. Now, let us see, let us look at some of the simple operations on an array, that how we can initialize the array with some known values. Broadly, there are two ways. First way is to specify values separated by commas. For example, at the rate color equal to red, green, blue, black. Again, for some cases we can use single quote, for some cases we can use double quote, no problem. This can also contain numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you want. This is the first way of representing or specifying the value. But one problem is that you have to type a lot, so many quotes, so many commas. There is a more convenient way using the quote words or QW function. This quote words or QW is used more conveniently when you are specifying an array where the elements are of string type, okay, single word string, that is why it is called words. Multi word strings are not allowed here. Well, you can use it like this: color, this array color equal to QW, within bracket you simply write down the values of the array elements separated by spaces, red, green, blue, black. So, the element number 0 will be red, element number 1 will get green, element number 2 will get blue, and the last one will get black. So, these are the two ways in which you can initialize the value of an array. Now, some array assignment, just like you can assign something to a scalar, you can also assign something to an array, like at numbers equal to within bracket 1, 2, 3, this is a list. Okay. So, this list will be assigned to this array. So, now the new value of numbers will be 1, 2, 3. Similarly, colors equal to red, green, blue. You can assign the contents of one array to another, at array 1 equal to at array 2. You can also assign something using the QW function, QW something board equal to, or you can use any combination of the above. Like as this example suggests, you see, at all colors equal to, within bracket you are specifying a list. First and third elements of the list is a scalar, while the second element is an array. So, before being assigned, this array will be expanded. This at colors means, for example, red, green and blue. So, actually what will be assigned? It will be a 5 element list: white, red, green, blue, brown, right. So, when you are assigning, you can specify an existing array, so that all the values of that array will also go into the new array along with some new values, as the example showed. Some other examples: first one, the elements 2, 3, 4 and 5 will go. Second one, see, this is interesting. In the first case, the array values will be 2, 3, 4 and 5. Second one, you are trying to assign a list to the same array xyz. The list starts with a number or scalar 1 followed by the array xyz. So, the first element will be 1 followed by xyz, whatever it had. Xyz was 2, 3, 4, 5. So, this will be the new value of the array. So, you can say this is a way to insert a new element at the beginning of the array. This 1 has been inserted at the beginning. Similarly, the last example inserts a 6 at the end of the array. So, 6 will get inserted after xyz, right. So, in this way you can simply do some insertion at the beginning or end of the array. Multiple assignments. Using a single statement, you can have multiple assignments: 10 to x, 20 to y, 30 to y again. So, the final value of y will be 30, right. You can swap two elements using a single line: y will go to x, x will go to y, and this will be simultaneous. Okay. That is why swapping will actually take place. If you write an assignment like this, $A comma an array. So, the first one is a scalar, second one is an array, and there is a list on the right hand side. Since the first one is a scalar, a single value can go into it. That is why $A will get the value of red, and whatever remains will go into this array call. So, call will get the remaining, which means green blue. Okay. This is how multiple assignment will be taken. This is an interesting example. Take this one. First one is a scalar, second one is an array, third one is a scalar. We are assigning 1, 2, 3, 4. Since the first one is a scalar, the first element will be assigned. So, first will get the value 1. Second one is an array, and array can take as much as you can give. So, it will gobble up the remaining 2, 3, 4 whole of it. Last there is nothing to assign to. So, last will remain undefined, right. This is what will happen here. Number of elements in the array, this if you want to know in a particular program, there are two ways. One is a function called scalar or an operator called scalar. If you precede the array name by scalar, it will return the number of elements, or you can simply drop this keyword scalar and write a scalar equal to an array. An array cannot be assigned to a scalar, but if you write a statement like this, what will happen is that the number of elements in the array will be assigned to the scalar, which is this size of the array. So, there are a number of ways in which do certain things in Perl, as we shall see, but you need to understand the basic mechanism to know that why these various alternatives work or they can be used. These alternative constructs we shall see later, because there are certain things you need to understand in order to appreciate its working, how it works, why it works, this kind of questions. Now, talking about accessing elements in the array, suppose I have an array called list containing elements 1, 2, 3, 4. I can simply access elements like this. List 0 means the first element, which is 1, third means the fourth element, which is 4, list 3. List 1 plus plus means the first element of the list, the first means 1, that means the second one, which is 2, this will get incremented by 1. So, now the new list will be 1, 3, 3, 4, right. If you have a statement like this, where you are accessing an element which is out of bound, so it cannot return a value. So, x will get the value undefined. Now, this undef undef is a special keyword which you use to indicate undefined values. Okay. So, undef is, it is like a constant or it is like a literal which you use to indicate undefined. If we give list 2 equal to a string go, then list 2 is the third element. So, this string will replace the third element, it will be 1, 2, go and 4. Okay. There is a special marker indicated by $hash. $hash represents the index of the last element of the array. Suppose you have an array value which contains 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. You can use $hash like this, $hash followed by the name of the array without this at the rate. This will return the value 4, which is the index of the last element of the array, because index will be 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. 4 is the last index. So, 4 will be returned. Now, if the array is empty, there are no elements, if the array is just an empty array, and if you give this $hash name of the array, then it will return -1. -1 indicates that the array is empty. 0 means the array has only one element, because 0 is the index of the last element. Okay. There are some additional operations on arrays, shift and unshift. Given an array, if you regard an array like this, shift and unshift work at the beginning of the array. Shift removes the first element of the array and unshift replaces the element at the start of the array. Let us see how they work. Take an example like this. If you give a shift like this, shift at color, so the first value red will get replaced and it will be assigned to first, and color will be now only blue, green, black. Unshift is a function. If you give an array name with a value, then white will replace the first element red, and it will be white, blue, green, black. Similarly, there are a pair of functions pop and push which works at the tail of the array, at the end of the array. Pop removes the last element of the array, while push replaces the last element of the array. Some example again. If color is red, blue, green, black, then if you give pop color, the last element black will get removed, then it will get assigned to color, the first this variable, and the array will become only red, blue, green. But if you push white, then this black will become white, the last one. Okay. So, an array can be reversed by using reverse keywords. Suppose you have an array like this, you can simply use reverse this array name, the entire array will get reversed, the elements will get reversed. If I use the same name here and here, then the original array will be reversed. Okay. So, printing an array is equally simple. If you have an array like this, you can simply write print at colors or within double quotes. If you do not give double quotes, then printing will take without spaces, that means red, green, blue will come together. If you give within double quote, then there will be a space between consecutive elements. Okay. So, it depends on what you want to do. Now, with this we come to the end of today's lecture. Let us have a look at the solutions to last day's lecture. What do you mean by server side script? A server side script is a program. This can be standalone or it can be embedded inside an HTML document, say, which gets executed before sending the document back to the browser. This is executed at the end of the server. How do I identify a script in a file? First is that the file extension should be .asp and these tag pairs should be present. Explain the usage of the request form function using an example. Request form function, let us say you can use like this, just you give the name of the form element here, the value will be returned. Where did the output of the ASP server side scripts go? They go nowhere, they get embedded in the HTML document in which the ASP tags are embedded. Okay. The output get included as part of the HTML file. So, a form submits the values of username, password, write an ASP server side script to check if the password is equal to Akastra. The code will be like this. So, first you read the values of the name, password through request form. There is an if statement, if password equal to Akastra, then welcome, your name gets printed here within ASP tags, you have logged successfully, else you print a message error password or incorrect password, end if. In PHP, how do you access the value of variables get and post? By using the functions $get and $post. How can you send data to a server side script? Through a URL without using a form? Well, you can use it by straight away coding the hyperlink like this. This is the URL you will be giving, HTTP followed by a question mark, then age equal to 23. If there are more, you can give ampersand and give ampersand the other values. If you put the entire thing as a string, then means it will go to the server side, this XYZ ASP with these values as a get string. Okay, now the questions from today's lecture. Do you need to compile a Perl program? When you are writing a Perl program for a Unix platform, what do the first line indicate? Why is Perl called a loosely typed language? A string can be enclosed within single quotes or double quotes. What is the difference? How do you concatenate two strings? Give an example. What is the meaning of adding a number to a string? What is the convenient construct to print a number of fixed strings? How do you add a scalar at the beginning of an array? How do you concatenate two arrays and form a third array? How do you reverse an array? How do you print the elements of an array? With this we come to the end of today's lecture. In the next lecture, we would be continuing with our discussion on Perl. We will be looking at some more features of the language, conditional and other things. Thank you. We continue with our discussion on the Perl language and its features. If you recall, in our last lecture we were talking about the scalar and the array variables in the Perl, how it can be used. Today we continue with what we are talking about. We look at some of the other facilities or other you can say features that you can have in association with an array. Let us start with sorting. Perl provides a very simple mechanism to sort the elements of the array using the sort keyword. Default sorting method is we can sort the elements lexicographically. Lexicographically means the elements of the array are treated as character strings and they will be sorted in the order of the dictionary, in the dictionary order. Dictionary sorting means lexicographic ordering, okay? And the sort command by default considers that all elements are a string. For example, if you write a number 25, it will be considered as a string 2 and 5, okay? So, some examples: colors equal to say using the quote word command, you define this array as red, blue, green, black. If you write sort call another array equal to sort colors, so the new array sort call will be, this will be sorted black, blue, green, red.